So why communicate more deeply? Why have rituals of communication when the good-natured masculine would say, we get along great, we can say anything we want, I don't want to have some structure, some rules controlling me. Well, the thing is that the feminine, the deep feminine, has yet to be heard in this lifetime, in this millennia. And the masculine will have a tendency to pretend, well, to actually think that he knows what she's going to say. He will finish her sentences for her. He'll talk over her. He'll reinterpret back to her something she didn't mean. And these are so frustrating for the woman. This makes life impossible. If she can't communicate the smallest thing without being talked over, or the subject changed, or him stonewalling or walking away, or telling her that her needs don't matter, that what she's interested in is just not, just dismissing her. You might be a great guy, a great couple, and you think you don't need a communication exercise, but try it first. Then if you don't need it, fine. But this is a tool that I believe you're going to need for the rest of your relationship together, these two tools. And this will mean that there's these sacred things that need to be communicated too. Words of deep love and reverence and sacred wishes. And those things need a context that is not just the normal running by each other, hurrying up, doing things, being distracted by cell phones. So many deep levels of the most important things we need to communicate don't get said, even over 20 years sometimes, unless you have a format that works for communicating every week, every day even, but let's just say once a week is enough. And the reason I say once a week is because I believe that it's true that human relationships actually depend on the invocation of divine energy. Whatever that means to you, whatever religion you're from or tradition, it's the third force. It's the presence of something sacred beyond the two people that's invoked between them when they sit down to consciously call in protective energy and blessings to their relationship. Through communication, this blessing comes. The Dagara African people would call it, they would say, well, actually you can't ever, two people can never get married. It's always a marriage of three. Third being spirit. Spirit is always present to unite two people. And this is why it's so sad when people sort of live together forever without any ritual. Like, I'm not even sure about the state and the government coming into people's sacred lives through marriage papers, but I definitely am for sacred rituals of spiritual invocation that protect us, align us, and make us clear and focused about what we're doing together and why, and what we're each wanting, expecting, hoping, so at least we know each other better. So what I'm going to share with you today is called Pulling Withholds. Number 1, and number 2 is the sacred ash circle. Okay, here we go. So pulling withholds is one of the most profoundly helpful in communication exercises that you can use in your relationship over a lifetime. What you're always looking for is a way to communicate with no reactivity, no mean words, no judgments, no interruptions, just really, really deeply being heard. So in a moment, I'm going to share with you the how-tos of pulling withholds. Now, the point of this is people feel, a lot of times women feel like nobody wants to hear them and that they're a burden when they finally share. And the men will even say, gosh, you're a problem woman. My last woman never would have brought up any of this stuff like you do. You're the problem. Rather than seeing her as the grace in the situation who is bringing up the things that need to be clarified, cleared, brought forth so that both people can be happy again and close again and come back into the synergy that creates sexual energy and intimacy and kissing and romance. All of those things get put on hold when there are certain things that must be communicated for the people, for the woman to feel open again, for the sacred feminine to feel that she's honored enough and that her boundaries are not being walked over. So when you say pulling withholds, what you're saying is, I ask you to share with me, my divine lover, tell me something you've withheld from me. Tell me. So you're invoking, I'm here, pulling this out of you. I want to know. And then the job after you've heard, tell me something withheld from me, my darling, is to simply say thank you. So while you're listening, you have no intense faces, no drama, no and thank you and no interruptions. That never. No, you're so totally quiet. You're neutral. You're listening deeply, and you're quietly, with presence, giving eye contact, giving your heart openness. When they're done with the thought they were sharing, you simply say, thank you. Thank you. Now, what do you do next? You ask again. Darling, tell me something you've withheld from me. Once again, the thought comes forward. Now, these are not always negative thoughts. They're not always, sometimes they're really positive, deep, intimate thoughts. It's anything that you haven't shared or that you just need to share that day. It can be simple, big, little, mundane, anything that comes up. Anything goes, except for that you're staying kind, okay? And you're not going into blaming, shaming, and pathos. You're simply, when this happened, I felt this, and what I really needed was this, and I really wish this, and I'm wondering if you might be willing to change this, just like from your heart. Now they share again, and what do you say? Thank you. Thank you, darling. Tell me something you've withheld from me. You ask again. Now, how long do you do this is up to you, because you're going to set a time, anywhere from 10 minutes to a half an hour, that you give each other, okay? I would say 15 minutes is the best. So after it's been almost 15 minutes or so, and you're asking, tell me something you withheld from me, the person is probably going to say at a certain point, I'm done. That's enough for now. Now you ask 3 more times. 3 more times. Tell me something, darling. Tell me something you withheld from me. Nothing. I'm really done, says your partner. I'm done. I've said enough. And then you ask again. Okay, thank you. Tell me something you withheld from me. Now, the reason you ask 3 more times is because at the very end come these very deep things from this subliminal unconscious that otherwise never would be shared. Beautiful. Now what do? Reverse roles. Now they're going to ask you to tell something you've withheld, and they're going to keep saying thank you. Tell me something you've withheld from me. Thank you. You're going to keep the wording the same every time. Tell me something withheld from me. Thank you. And that's it. Very simple. Now, you've both taken turns, and you said many positive things too, and many hard things, difficult things. A lot has come up. Round 2 is called the cleanup round. Round 2, you just do exactly the same thing, same amount of time, equal time for both people. Make sure it's always equal time for both people. None of this, I don't need to share anything thing. No, sit there and have them ask you for 15 minutes. If you have nothing to say each time, fine. But believe me, if you open your heart, things will come up. And it's just a power trip to say, no, I don't have anything to share, because that's just not true. You will have love. At least you'll have love. At least you'll have gratitude. At least you will have beautiful things to share. Okay? You don't have to say anything heavy if that's not there, but you do need to open your heart to dive in and share some of the things that you haven't been able to say. Now in round 2, the cleanup round, what happens is you end up responding to the things that you've heard them say. You end up responding to, I just heard you say, you didn't feel I was helping you with your diet the way I've been munching out on potato chips in front of you, and I wanted to say I'm so sorry, I think I can do better with that. The chips are giving me a stomach ache too, whatever. So yeah, your cleanup round can be deep and powerful, responding, but you're not interrupting the flow. You're not going back and forth. You're still in the format of, tell me something you withheld from me, thank you. Tell me something you withheld from me, thank you. Keep doing that, and the person is now responding as they can to what they heard you say in your last round. You reverse it, you do the same. Now, very good. You've done this. You've both had equal turns. You've both done your cleanup round. All these deep things have been shared. Now what? Now let it be. Okay, just let it be. None of this like, oh, we gotta do something about it, process. No, you shared from the heart realm, and now everything's going to settle into place. Everything's going to fall into place. Okay, for what, how those things will work out. They will, because you're coming from the heart realm, and you're invoking the transformation into simpatico and harmony. So the thing is that if you want to talk about anything that came up in those rounds, you must promise each other that you won't just start talking like in the car or while they're brushing their teeth. Oh, so that thing you said about how you wanted us to, go to therapy or whatever, and the person's like, I'm brushing my teeth, What you have to do with anything that's been shared in the withholds is to ask, I would like to talk about that thing, you said about wanting to travel around the world, without me, or whatever the thing is, and would you be open to talking about it now or today? Now the person might say, sure, or yeah, I'd love to, or thank you for asking, but they also might say, not unless it's in the format of withholds, because some things are so volatile and so difficult, and the last thing you want to do is get into a fight and an argument, so by saying that some things you actually need to go back to the withhold format gives you protection for difficult areas when they come up, okay? So always ask if you can just talk about it, and when, and in what format, and then you'll be protected in the deeper things coming up. So this journey we're on now of bringing back the Divine Feminine, returning to the Divine Feminine in this Passion course, is a very passionate one. It's going to bring up a lot of emotions because emotions are feminine. That's the feminine, being allowed to feel, handling feelings regardless of how scary they may be. It's trusting feelings, that feelings are our guide. They're our guidance as to what we want to go towards and what we want to stay away from, what we long for, what we miss. So instead of numbing yourself with alcohol and drugs and pot and pharmaceuticals, you're returning to the sacred feminine. And this is a passionate journey where a lot of feelings are good. That does not mean, though, taking out anger on each other, sucking each other down into pathetic little grief stories. No, that's different. Feeling your feelings and letting the energy move with the intention of coming to a sacred place of wholeness is very different than dumping emotions on each other. So sometimes as emotions come up, you're going to need to go to the earth and cry it out alone. Go for a run and sweat it out at the gym. You're going to need to do things so that you come back to each other emotionally open without needing to dump on each other. Or you may need to ask one another, hold me, I'm really feeling this, it's really hard, I need you to, hold me and be with me in this, and okay, emotions are good. So you have this format now for dealing with things that come up that are intense to talk about. Please use it. The next exercise is called the Sacred Ash Circle from the Dagara African tribe of Burkina Faso. Taught to me by Sabanfu Somé. And this is a very, very powerful ritual. But take this one first, pulling withholds, and we'll get to the next one soon. Okay, love. This is the communication chakra, having a way for the sacred feminine to communicate with the sacred masculine clearly, profoundly from the heart in a way that's safe. Okay.